So before we look at adding objectives, we need to fix a couple issues with this door. The first is the block's vision property, which is the black square you see around the door. To fix that, we simply go to Properties, open the Translating under the door, and uncheck block's vision. Once we portalize, that blocks is no longer there. Alright, the next thing we need to fix is there is a small bug with this door. What you see is I can get the gemstones, close this torch switch, reopen, and the gem leaves my inventory and goes back under the door. So to fix that, you could add more traps to make the teleport traps only fire once, but I learned of a new way, which is simply to make the door block throbbing, and that makes a lot more sense. So we'll go with the simple approach and remove these teleport traps. Let's drag the gemstones back under the door. And all we do is select the door, go to Properties, Add, Inventory, and Block Throb. Once that property is set, we can go into the mission. You'll see the gemstones there. However, if the door is closed, I cannot select it. And that's all. Next, I wanted to show how to create light objects. So what I've done is added a couple airbrushes here with a window texture. And what we'll do is go to Create Light, and I'll drag a new light. And this doesn't have an object, it's just a light object in itself. So what we do is we can lower the brightness here to 15, and we can set the color of this light with hue. So for example, the red could be 0.98, blue could be 0.65, green could be 0.45, and yellow could be 0.17. So we'll make this yellow with 0.17, and the saturation controls the intensity of the color. We'll make it pretty mild and just go with 0.1, and we'll clone that light and drag it over to the other window that I created. Now we'll portalize, and we can view the results with toggle lighting. So we see some nice ambient lighting coming from these windows by the gate. So the last thing we're going to look at before going to objectives is ambient sound. To create ambient sound for the mission, we go to FNord, Ambient Sound, click Create, and put it on the map. So under the properties, you add Ambient Hacked, and you'll see something called Schema Name. This is the name of the sound we want to play. So to find the appropriate schema, what you do is go back to the Thief2 directory, go to under Schema, and you have a bunch of schema files. So these ambient M files are the different missions. So for our level, we're going to go to mission 4, Framed, which has ambient nighttime city sounds. So let's grab the MO4 wind, and we can go back to DromEd, and we can actually listen to this, which is quite useful. So we can hear the sound of the wind in the background. It's good. To halt that, we'll just go to Halt All Schemas, and now we can go back to our ambient sound and make it the sound of the wind. So the radius here is when defines the number of units away from this point where this sound is picked up by the player. And then the flag environmental is something that makes this sound persist until we get to another sound that is environmental. So let's start this mission and hear the ambient wind. Okay, let's put another sound inside. So I'm going to clone this ambient sound and move it behind the door. That way when the player enters the house, they'll get a new type of sound. And what I'm going to set is MO4 hum for the inside sound, which we see it in the schema file down here, MO4 hum. And so when the player leaves the house, they're also going to pick up the old ambient sound, MO4 wind. And what I'm going to do is lower the radius so that it only gets picked up when entering and leaving the house through the door and not by walking around the house inadvertently. So radius 7 is good for that. Another type of sound I want to show is when it's not environmental. When it's only you want to play the sound near a certain area. So I'm going to clone that ambient sound, go to properties, and change it from environmental to no sharp curve. And that will gradually increase the volume of the sound as you approach this area. So what I'm going to do is set the radius to 25 so the area is larger. And I'm going to go MO4 night, which is the sound of crickets near the trees. So I'm going to clone the MO4 night and move it to the other side. So let's go in game and check out our sounds. It starts with MO4 wind. As I approach the trees, you get the MO4 night sounds. And now we can go to the house. And here we get MO4 hum. Back outside, MO4 wind. And as we approach the trees, the sound of MO4 night gradually comes in. And that's it. Okay, so let's look at adding goals to our mission. So the first thing we need to do is go to Editors, Mission Variables, and go to the Dark Mission Description. Thief 2 has 16 missions in it, so what we want to do is start at a higher mission number. So we'll start with mission 17 and set the Dark Mission Description. Now we can save our mission. This is needed to get the objective text working. Now, we have a nice tool called Goalmaster that was installed with T2 Fix, and we'll use this Goalmaster tool to build our objectives. So I'm going to create goals and make the text really short just for speed, but we'll start with goal 1, which is getting the medallion. So I'll just say get medallion for short. But what you want to do when you're typing your mission text is for the fiction, this is going to be before you start the level. So what you can do is write your objective and add a bit of lore to it, and then for the text, this is what you see in game. So this, you can make it short and sweet with what the objective is. So now for getting the medallion, we're going to set the type to still an object, and we need the object ID. So let's go back to our mission, and we will find the medallion and look at the keeper medal is 42. So let's put the object ID as 42, and that's going to be on all difficulty levels, and we update the list. The next one we'll put is get 200 loot. So again, I'm just making this short and sweet for the video. You can be much more descriptive. So let's look at get loot, and all we need is total 200, and that's going to be for hard and expert. Now let's add the third objective, which is get out. So this is going to be getting out of the mission, out of the gate we created. So this is going to require something called a room ID. And what we need to do is go back to the exit gate we created and select this default room. We need to replace this with a new type of room. So I'm going to delete the default room, and I'm going to go to Editors, Object Hierarchy, select Rooms, and select the default room. Now we're going to add a new type of room, and we'll call it End Room. This name is a friendly name for us, so it can be anything. But what's important is to click Edit, Add, go to S, Scripts, and type in the script Welcome Room. Now it has to be, the script has to be called this. This is what monitors for the player when he enters the brush to trigger something. And in this case, it'll be triggering that the objective was met. So now that we have a new end room, we can highlight this brush and say Shift Insert, and now we have an end room here that replaces the old room. Okay, so the end room is 60. So what we want to do is put 60 here, and we can say this is a final objective. That means if we enter this area before we meet all the other objectives, it will not fire. So it has to be the final objective to be completed. So let's update the list, get out. Now finally we're going to add one more, which is don't kill. And this will simply be to not kill any guards. So under kill a creature, what we want to do is find the object ID for humans. So let's go back to the objects, go under physical creature, and we see humans are -14. So basically what we're going to set is -14 here, which right now the objective is kill a human. So what we want to do is reverse that, and that'll be don't kill a human. So let's set that objective, and what we can do now is save this, and we can pick our Thief 2 FMs, and I'll just save mine directly into the mission. You don't have to, but it's going to make it simple to find for this mission. So now that we saved our goals, we want to actually export them to Thief. So it creates two things, a goals.command file to add the objectives to the mission, and a goals.string file to show them the goal text. So I exported that, and under goal test we see the folder for the goal text. So I'm going to add that to my mission folder. I already did it here, so let me just replace that. This is going to be goals.string, and mish17 is the dark mission description we gave it, so that's correct. So what we want to do now is go show the command file that it created. So all I need to do is run this under the command subfolder. So let's go back to our mission, and in the console we type run.cmds/miss17 goals.command. Now what that did was it added this mission quest data. So to see the goals properly, what we're going to need to do is close DromEd, reopen, and open the mission again. Otherwise the text may not display for you under your goals. But now we can go in game, click O, and we can see under normal difficulty the goal. To see the objectives under other difficulties, we simply go to set difficulty, pick the difficulty level, and view hard, and go to expert, and we can see our goals under expert. So that's simple enough. What you want to do is set the difficulty back to none when you're done, because if you don't, it sets something in here that will get your mission stuck on a certain difficulty. So always set back to none, and do not process the difficulty. We'll talk about this next time, but simply stick to these options and you will be fine.